welcome to our today's webinar. And thank you for taking out time and coming and, listening to valuable insights from our worthy speakers. So we are honored to introduce Sara Aslam. She's an esteemed educator, innovator, and entrepreneur with over 13 years of teaching experience at Kinnaird College for Women. She is currently working as a lecturer at Kinnaird College of Women, which is Lahore's leading institute for higher education for women. Sara has dedicated her career to shaping future leaders, holding a postgraduate degree in human resource management from the University of Glasgow, UK. She brings a wealth of knowledge and a profound passion for teaching for her students. Sara's expertise in talent acquisition, employer branding is complemented by her commitment to creating responsible future leaders through the power of education. Recently, she has expanded her focus to designing courses in entrepreneurship, particularly emphasizing social innovation. Her dedication to equipping students with the skills and knowledge necessary to derive positive social change is truly inspiring. Beyond her academic achievements, beyond her academic achievements, Sara is also the proud owner of Art Chart, a thriving art business. Her dual passions for teaching and art infuse her work with fresh creative perspectives, enriching both her students' learning experience and her own artistic abilities. So we welcome you, Ms. Sara, and we really honor to have you on board with us. And we're really looking forward to learning from you and looking at what exactly are the insight tips that we're going to gain from a University of Glasgow graduate today. And through all the experiences that you've had in your life in terms of your professional experiences, I would say. So thank you so very much for joining us today. And now over to you.
Thank you, Rabia, for such a generous introduction. As Rabia has already given the introduction that I've done my MSc in Human Resource Management from the University of Glasgow, UK. Currently, I am serving Kinnaird College for Women as a lecturer, and I have a total experience of 16 years. Let's, I think, focus on today's agenda first. In today's session, I'll be taking an opportunity to speak about my experience in Glasgow and also share some tips and tricks on making a winning application for admission, especially in the UK universities for your postgrad degrees. Not only this, but I would also walk you through the intricacies of admission process step by step. We'll discuss challenges and opportunities, and there will be a question and answer session. In case you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Right. So although I have a privilege of working with companies like Mobilink, now Jazz, and the higher education giant LUMS, but this corporate life had become so mundane, and something inside me was constantly telling me to do something more meaningful. This is how it all started. So quite honestly, I was not so happy doing a 9-to-5 job, and I was secretly wishing to quit my job and pursue academia. So at that time, my sister jumped in, who was already doing a degree in human resource management in the US, and she brought this course to my attention. HRM was an emerging field. It was dedicated for female specialists, at that time. So I was quite intrigued to exploring the opportunities in this field. You must have read this famous quote or heard about it. It's in The Alchemist, the book, which says when you want something, the entire universe conspires in order for you to achieve it. And it actually happened with me. Just like the shepherd in that book, he started seeing omens. I could see the sign as well. I would, stumble upon magazines and articles featuring international education events and success stories of the international students, and even met strangers, colleagues, and even my friends who were either going abroad or were back with the foreign qualifications and settling well in their careers. So finally, I made up my mind. A lot of people ask why one should choose to studying abroad. I would simply say it's a matter of personal choice. But generally, the factors that are jotted down here on the slide, such as better career prospects abroad or back home after graduation, or wanting to have the exposure of international culture. Some people want to pursue higher degrees because of the academic excellence, because the foreign degrees hold more values in the job market. And then there are reasons for personal growth. These are some of the factors why students want to go abroad. And if you ask me why I chose University of Glasgow, well, my reason for choosing Glasgow has a lot of homework in the background. I would, name a few things. For example, I had heard great things about the university, then the university's history of over 500 years and its business school's reputation and good ranking was another reason. Then when I, compared the course structure and the fee, which is a very, important factor in decision making, whether, you should, you can afford to go abroad or not, they all worked in my favor compared to the other universities on my list. And lastly, my relatives living in Glasgow, yes, I felt much safer when thinking about my relatives there. So this was the confidence for me applying to the University of Glasgow. All right, now for aspiring students, and I'll be simultaneously sharing my story as well as we go along. Where to get started? I mean, well, if you are, aspiring to go abroad, what should be the first step? So the first thing is to research the program that you want to enroll in. I would say always thoroughly search the program in order for you to find a course, explore university departments, look at their offerings. Fee structure is important. Funding options are very, very important. Things such as facilities over campus, most importantly, university ranking is a crucial factor that should be considered in your decision making. And of course, the living cost that matters. All these factors are really, really important because you're going to invest in your future. I cannot stress enough here that not only is the degree expensive, but this is also a once in a lifetime opportunity for you. So since the degree you choose now will determine your future career, I see things quite contrary to this. To my surprise, I've seen so many students these days who opt for master's degrees or even undergrad programs without giving much thought to their relevance in the job market. In other words, they fail to see if the degree program they are enrolling in is in the future demand. Future markets are changing. So what happens is then that due to market saturation, they don't land a good job opportunity after graduation. Another factor, I think there is this perplexity or the rush in those students is because of the economic activity in the country. This economic downturn and inflation in the country has made students think that, flying abroad is maybe the solution. People leave the country not realizing that this economic downturn that we're facing today here in Pakistan is basically an international phenomenon. And flying abroad without proper homework won't change their circumstances after graduation. What happens or what needs to be done is that we need to focus on the program. On the contrary, what is happening around is students are making hefty payments to the agents without doing much needed research on the program they are wishing to enroll in, which is highly important at the time of selection of the program. I would suggest that before opting for any degree, the first thing you need to do, even before making a decision whether you study in a local university or an international university for that matter, is to study the market trends for future skill requirements. For example, management students should stop looking for options to have a higher degree in marketing or management without a blend of artificial intelligence, data sciences, etc. These are the emerging trends, and future markets are, looking for these kind of skills. So what's next after you have, selected your program? What should you do next? I think the next thing is it's best to check the admission requirements, their important dates and deadlines. Then you have to prepare documents. There are certain documents that are required. I think all your it's now like universal that Pakistani students have to have their documents, academic documents, are tested by the testing bodies such as ATC and MOFA, etc. So you need to do that well in time so that you just meet the deadlines and your application does not get delayed. Right. I would enlighten you on some of the documents that need particular attention in the preparation of your admission application. Uh, at number one, we have its personal statement. It's also, called SOP, statement of purpose. Some people also call it motivational letter. So this letter it holds a crucial value in your application. Now, what a statement of purpose or motivation letter is? It's a written document basically where an individual outlines their academic and professional goals and the reasons for pursuing a particular program or opportunity abroad. The write-up should be compelling enough for the selection committee to make the decision in your favor. I would suggest you spend ample time drafting this letter, and please do not copy from the internet because this might, result in straight rejection of your application. What should be the, a composition of a good SOP? Essentially, a compelling SOP must communicate your suitability and passion for studying the course. Also, it must define the purpose, why you think this course will benefit you, and also guarantee that the course after completion is 100% beneficial for the specific sector back home. So I think this is this composition really works for any admission application if followed through. Then we have IELTS. IELTS is, we all are familiar with. It's a test of English language. For UK, we require IELTS UKVI, and British Council can give you information on that. There is one thing, a lot of people think since their academic journey is in English, so they might be, exempted from giving the IELTS. But I would say that you need to check with the UK Border Agency visa requirement. This UK IELTS, UKVI IELTS is, I think it's a compulsory document for your application process, and you have to do it. Since this IELTS UKVI expires every 2 years, you need to wisely select the time when you opt for it. All right. Another thing people don't pay much attention to is the references. References, or as we know them, of recommendation letter, is a mandatory step of your application. You need to choose your referees wisely. Always seek permission from your professor or teacher before putting their names in the reference list because A, it is polite, and B, the professor will know exactly what to do as soon as they receive email from your university for the reference. So please pay attention to this as well. Now here's a list of some of the other documents that are required, and these are, there's UCAS application. UCAS application is basically an official proof of your place in the program, after which you have to pay its application fee and formally submit your application. You might be called for an interview. I think in my times, it was an optional thing. I didn't have to go through any, but now I think it's a compulsion that you have to appear in an interview. Then you receive an offer from the university. After receiving that offer, you are formally eligible to lodge your visa application. Rest of the 3 points, like arranging an accommodation and planning your finances, traveling and enrolling, I think I'm going to cover them in the following slides. Up next. Well, arranging an accommodation in the UK while sitting in your home country can be a daunting experience if you do not have any relatives or acquaintances abroad. Well, I know of two general and most common types of accommodations. One is university dorms, and the other one is private accommodation. Speaking speaking of my experience, well, before my departure, I had the option of accommodation in the university dorms with a refundable charge of a few £100 to confirm my place for accommodation, which I, stayed indecisive for. I was not quite sure. I particularly wanted to visit the place myself. Um, to see whether it was safe or not. Safety was the foremost important thing for me. While I, throughout my journey in Glasgow, I was particularly focused on my safety. Later, when I was in Glasgow, staying with a very, very dear aunt of mine, I had a time to contact the international office at the University of Glasgow for accommodation. And with my application, I had a specific instruction for an all-girl option, and I was lucky to find one. Right. Besides this option, a lot of students I knew, including some Indians and Chinese, Gumtree was used extensively back then. It was a website and it was extensively used to search for private places and a lot of other things like trade-off things like I think we use OLX in the similar manner. And I'm pretty much sure that with the advent of technology today, we have more smarter methods to find accommodation. Now I get a lot of questions from a lot of people asking me why I chose university accommodation for its expensive. I always say that it's the most secured option for any international student in a foreign land, to be very honest. However, there is also a common practice among students to initially book university accommodation from their home country. But as soon as they arrive in the UK and make friends, they look up for shared accommodations and move out from university accommodation. This option is for far cheaper but has limitation of safety, in my opinion. And I had an Indian friend, in fact, they were a group of 4 boys from Kerala, India, who had shared an apartment and even groceries. Their living cost was much, much cheaper, more than cheaper than anyone could imagine, actually. So this was like the benefit of private accommodation. Well, I would say both have their pros and cons. You have to evaluate what works best for you. If you find accommodation in a safer area, then I think cheaper is the best option. Okay, now let's talk about some of the challenges that you face abroad as an international student abroad. When you are in a completely foreign land and you're on your own, you have a sole responsibility for everything. So after your accommodation is sorted, financial stress picks up. You have to manage all kinds of things from groceries to buying yourself weather appropriate clothing, and then transportation and costs add up. Other important things such as opening a bank account, registering yourself for a GP. All these things are usually done by your parents back home. But when in Glasgow or when abroad, you have to do and take care of all of these things yourself. So it's definitely takes up so much time and energy. Then there's this job market saturation that has forever been an issue in Glasgow and UK particularly. And I think it aggravates with more and more people opting for UK for living and studying. So you cannot, get away with this. Then you are far away from your family. You are adjusting to a new culture. It takes great toll on your mental health. It is very natural to be, stressed or perplexed. But I think one should wait. It all gets sorted with time. First 2 months are difficult, and then you start getting, used to of the things, and the system and understand the things. Where to save costs and all. So if you ask me how I coped, well, my coping mechanism, of course, it definitely it works differently for different people. Since I had a family in the UK who I visited quite often whenever I was down. Also, thanks to the video calling options, as I would talk to my family back home almost every day, or have a chit chat with a flatmate whenever I was down. I would take a walk on the River Clyde, which was quite nearby my accommodation. And in no time, I became part of this new place. Every challenge has a solution. For example, when in financial stress, always look for discounts. those steal deals from the groceries to clothing and even traveling. While in Glasgow, I extensively traveled from one place to another on a bus on the daily basis. So I usually bought an all day ticket, which was of £3.50 at that time, and I had a liberty to travel anywhere during that day. But when somebody told me later that there is a specific first bus card of 10 pounds that allowed me to save more money. So besides, that was a weekly card and I could travel, make as many trips I wanted on the bus. So besides this, there were many other places that would offer student discounts. You need to look up for them. Also, the first bus service also offered meal vouchers printed on the back of the bus ticket. I remember fully enjoying those discounts on various eateries. So you learn with time, how to save money and how to be wise while it comes to spending. All right, there's another concern about safety, which I must address. As far as the safety is concerned, I would advise that never ever, if you're a girl specifically, but I don't discriminate. I mean, even if you're a boy, you should, never ever stay out after 4 p.m. That's the maximum time. Everything, almost all shops close down by 5 p.m. But since the days are shorter in the winter, it's completely dark by 3 p.m. So I used to be home by then. Also, try and avoid going to parties with mixed gatherings and no boundaries, as they might trigger consequences you don't want. Lastly, I would say avoid deserted places such as parks. Most of the crimes that happened during my time in Glasgow were in the parks, and did that too in the later hours. So stay indoors, stay safe. Now, if we talk about the studies related stuff, this is also very natural form of stress because the education system in the UK is slightly different from how we are spoon fed everything back home. It takes some time to be familiar, so allow that to settle in. Student services at the university, particularly in the Glasgow University, are quite good. I remember they had a radio channel dedicated to motivate students, and even a specific nightline where you could, make a call, and they would listen to your, rants and problems and give possible solutions, especially during the exams. All right. So lastly, I would like to say that Glasgow as a place is a wonderful place, and it so slowly grows on you. It's warm in terms of hospitality, but always rainy and extremely windy. I'm not gonna lie if I tell you that the strong winds once or twice swept me off my feet. Honestly, just like that. So sometimes you can't even take a nice photo as the winds won't allow you. I even attached a picture of me against the red phone booth here on this slide with my hair all over my face as a proof. I even lost count on how many times I broke my umbrella due to the windy rain. So it's overall a very, very nice place. I call that Glasgow is love. All right. All I can say is that I chose not to stay in the UK after studying, but this degree has earned me great career options in my hometown, and I'm still thriving and getting the rewards of having a foreign qualification. That's all from my side. I believe it was somehow helpful and enlightening for you guys. If you have any questions, please do ask, as I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Sara. And honestly, the session I really thoroughly enjoyed. Although I don't plan to study abroad anytime soon, I lived there, but there were a lot of experiences that I could actually relate to in terms of your coping, and because I believe that coping, whether you plan to settle in a different country, the transition remains the same for any international student as well. They're also going through and the same kind of stress and coping, and yes, your relatives and people that not specifically relatives, you would say, even the family, friends,
Friends
family.
that we make, for that
Exactly.
matter. Yeah.
True. They also make life a lot easier because then you can visit them, you can relate to they can relate to your struggles, you can relate to their struggles. So I believe that is something that makes a lot of difference. And sometimes what I see most of the students do is that back in Pakistan, I've recently come across a few students who didn't do their research well. They just relied on the agents. What happened was that, because of that, they landed up in a university in a program, which, okay, they like the program, but the university is just so far away. It's like 4 hours drive, 3 hours drive from where their relatives live, and finding an accommodation nearby. It was actually it's a lot stressful when you land in a new country and then you don't have support around. So I would definitely recommend everyone, just like you said in your webinar as well, that do see a place. Like you said that you chose Glasgow because you had relatives there. So
Yeah.
somebody else somebody else
I
making
also
the
chose
decision.
Nottingham because I had relatives there. But then, when I compare the cost, England is costly, and Glasgow is quite, compared to English fee, I think Scottish universities are slightly cheaper.
Yeah, this is
That was
basically.
the time back then.
No, because right now the international fee is way higher. I would say it is really something, and I can see that somebody has asked a question about funding as well. Like, can you please let us know that how can we look into the funding options available for international students? Because I believe that even with funding, even if your degree is 100% being funded, even then you're paying a cost around £20,000, £10,000 for a year's course. So it's like a lot of money. So
A lot of money.
yeah, if you could just elaborate a bit on that as well.
Yeah, when it comes to studying in the UK, the funding options are not that friendly, I must say. It could be because of the recent influx of so many students from all over the world, wishing to study in UK universities. I would say some of the options that were available to me when I was looking for scholarships was Chevening is one. You can, visit the website and find all, scholarship opportunities that I'm going to enlighten you about. They have their deadlines and they have their own requirements. Don't consider that, your admission application, qualifies you for a scholarship. There's a separate link. There's a separate application that you have to, do. So I did apply for Chevening. There was no luck in that. Commonwealth is another option. I did appear one of the tests, but because from all over the Pakistan, even we were like around 5,000-7,000 candidates at that time. So you can see there were just a few people who were picked out. Besides that, there are some options in the department that applying for. Even if it's a taught master, it's not research degree. You can speak to the department if they have any bursaries. They're called bursaries because they have their nominal waivers like 300, ranging from 200 to 300 pounds. And lastly, look up for funding options in your home country. Like we have HEC, that's the governing body, and they have faculty development programs. They have scholarship for students. But the problem is with that is in the past the HEC does not have have a very good experience with the funding options and the bonds that you have to fulfill. So what people do is they qualify for a scholarship, take the scholarship, fly abroad, get enrolled, and never come back. So I think this shouldn't be done. This is damaging the country as much as this is another type of corruption that we can do to our country. So this is it. So I think you should look up some websites, take help from ChatGPT. If you're a research student, you're more blessed because you can have funding options, fellowships, and speak to your supervisor. They might have their own fundings through which they can help you fund yourself. But again, I would say it's not easy living abroad. Even if you have the fully funded support, due to the inflation, things are not that simple as they look.
True. I'm really glad to hear that how you made a very wise decision, you know. Was it, you know, how would you, what would you say? Because, you know, you said that you were working well in the corporate section and then you decided that, you know, you need to probably, because I believe the kind of, with the education that you had initially, with the experience, like the corporate world experience that you had, I think somebody well settled here won't even think about, you know, moving abroad and going and, you know, going through
I get you.
yeah, exactly, going through that that period and everything, because of course that require leaving your family, leaving the hometown, leaving the job, everything, and then moving back, and not with the intention to settle in there, of course, you know, coming back as well. So how would you what would you say that what would you recommend that does, you know, working after doing your bachelor's, after doing your master's, does working really helps and makes you more mature in terms of your thought process? Because you made a very wise decision. Like I rarely see any student coming here who has done so much research, just like, you know, I see you have done it, in terms of choosing the university, in terms of choosing, you know, what option, what area would be suitable in terms of accommodation and stuff. So I don't see people making such wise decisions, honestly speaking. So what would you recommend? Should they work, have gain practical experience? Like you mentioned, that they should be looking at the current trends. So should they be actually working for a year, maybe for 2 years, and then make a decision? What would you recommend?
I personally think that taking a gap year is not a bad thing. Here in Pakistan, it's a common practice that you have to complete your academic qualifications all at once and then land a job market and become a slave for life. So I think even if you have done a master's, like I had an MBA, I did my MBA before going for another postgrad degree. That MBA helped me land into the best places I wanted. I could even wish for. The jobs were enriching, but the corporate sector has this limitation that after some time your jobs become mundane. I mean, it becomes routine and you stop learning. That's when there is an itch inside you, and you should be evaluating the circumstances and see how can climb the corporate ladder or change the circumstances for yourself. For me, it was taking another degree because I wanted to change the sector. I was coming from the corporate sector to the academia. So I had this opportunity. My family was very supportive. My father was very supportive of the fact, and that's how I advise that the new students who are looking for going abroad, they must follow the steps that I have covered in my presentation, and they should also pay attention to what they want out of the future. Even if they want to settle abroad, they should be picking up the courses that are required by the job market in future. But that's the thing. So people are wasting a lot of money because even I had a choice. We all get post-study work visa for 2 years. I had this choice, but I never opted for it because one of my seniors, he landed in a there's this, I think it was a sports shop where he had to perform the job of unloading of the supplies and stuff, and he was not happy. He said, I have a professional degree which I can sell back home. He was from India, and he said, I can sell this degree better at my country. I'll be received with more regard and honor than here picking up the stuff. And what a waste of time and money if I'm to pick up the fill up the stock and pick up the heavy sports stuff in place. So I hope that answers your question, Rabia.
Yes, you're so right. And you know, a lot of people, you're right about the job process as well, because it's really the job market itself. I would say that, you know, there are very less opportunities here as well. And you're right about the fact that it's easier to go back home, and you know that degree that you've gained and the practical experience that you've gained in an international country, in a different country, would actually land you, would actually be considered as something, you know, will be
More value.
valued,
Yeah.
will be valued. True, true. I would agree to that. And yes, now you're, mashallah, successfully running your own business as well. So you're a multitasker, I would say, who is and an expert, all
No,
around
no,
this
no, I'm
whole
not.
podcast.
I consider myself a learner, but I think having my own business has given me practical insights into learning, like day-to-day problems and how to deal with customer orders, prepare their orders, ensure that the stock is ready, promote it, market it. So all these things, I think it's a practical learning for me, and I'm enjoying this thoroughly.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. We're really, really honored to have you, and we're really looking forward to have you, learn from your expertise now. This was your experience. You shared your experience with us, and we're really glad that, you took out time on a weekend, on a Sunday for us, and basically enlighten the audience with all the knowledge that you have and with all your expertise. We really look forward to more sessions from you, which we do plan in the near future, and I'm sure that audience will be looking forward to attending more sessions conducted by you. So thank you so very much,
Thank you,
Ms. Sara.
Rabia, for providing me this platform to voice my opinion. And I hope it helps students make better, safe, and informed decisions.